Okay, we're live. What's up, y'all?
What's up, everybody?
What's going on, guys?
Dude. So, so me and Joe were on a call, literally just going through talking about how we want to just put the word out for the documentary again, because when we launched it on Vimeo at the beginning of
Sorry about that. My phone has been ringing off the hook, and you guys know why, right?
yeah. Well, I want you to talk about it. I just kind of wanted to like set people up for like why we're going live on a random Friday. We haven't posted a video, haven't gone live, and so
Yeah, this is like some TMZ shit, bro. Like we just
yeah.
get it running.
Dude, we need Deb Niederland and news action now.
Yeah. You need one of those comb mustaches, you know?
Yeah.
Take it away, Joe.
Dude, yeah. So like Ben was saying, we were just on the phone last night. You had sent us a message, and we were watching that the Joe Rogan episode with Michael P. Masters, and dude, he mentions you on the show, and that's
awesome.
super cool for one. But dude, like, what just happened to you today?
I picked up my phone. We don't have anything planned on YouTube. We weren't going to do any videos. I wasn't messing with YouTube, but I wanted to check out a video, you know, and I just woke up, clicked on YouTube, and I'm banned from YouTube. Not just my channel. My channel's been terminated, but I can't even watch YouTube. Like, I've had no violations. There's nothing wrong with the channel, never any problems, and it's just no explanation either. It's just, we're here to inform you that you are permanently terminated. So,
yeah. And then I went into my subscriptions to double check and make sure there wasn't, something wrong. And sure enough, dude, it says that the channel was deleted for not following community standard guidelines, which is ridiculous. Because in your case, it's usually, either you're talking about yourself or you're having like these scientific conversations with people, right? Like that's insane.
Yeah.
And you've never had a strike.
No.
You've never had any like warnings for anything because you've never done anything that requires. Yeah, there we go. Experiencer 1111. Yeah, there you go. You go check it out.
Yeah, the last interview we did was with Jim Segala, which you guys know about. Some of the people I've worked with at Harvard University, and I never met Jim Segala, but I kept getting phone calls from the neurology department saying, we need real experiencers to place these boxes in their home to retrieve real, scientific data, not ufology, but real, Harvard-based scientific data. And, everywhere I've been, I hear about Jim Segala's, work and all that stuff. So I was really excited to meet him, and we did a great little sit down and a good little show. And that's the last thing we did, which was, I think, a week or two ago is the last time we actually got on. So, no explanation, just terminated the show and banned me from the app. I can't even watch a YouTube video on my phone.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's crazy.
This is like a common theme, though, guys. Like ever since we started filming for the documentary, all the way up until when we released it in the first week of November 5th. It's not like we've been like a huge channel or anything, but we had people paying attention to stuff we were doing. But like I'm talking Twitter, like I post anything, like nothing. We post stuff on YouTube and just nothing happens. I've reached out to people like, hey, is this happening to you? And there's just some weird things happening. And then so the documentary comes out, then Age of Disclosure. We knew it was coming, but didn't know it was going to be that quick. But that kind of took up a lot of the airspace. So we decided like, hey, let's hold off on spending any money on like actual like marketing behind the doc until the wave of Age of Disclosure is over.
you shouldn't really have to spend any money. I'm in groups with hundreds of thousands of experiencers. We're talking Reddit. We're talking, all social medias, plugged in all over the place. I've got my own social media with experiencers in there only, and it's an independent network now. It used to be like a Facebook page. But yeah, it should have been well received. I've reached out to well over 1 million people easily, so I'm thinking you guys are selling the doc, getting the word out, and it's not moving. People aren't receiving it. So.
Yeah, dude, because we not only post stuff with the UFO Garage account, but we equally post the same amount of stuff like on our individual accounts too. And it's like we're posting this stuff everywhere, and it's like it's just like it's invisible. Like people cannot see it.
Yeah.
This is not the first time that you're no stranger to having somebody trying to silence you about this whatsoever, right? And then we get into it, and it starts moving a little bit, but then when the documentary's done, it's like it's invisible. Nobody can see it. And then so now we're thinking like, oh, well, how cool. You're actually brought up. You're one of the main stories that happens on Joe Rogan last night. And we're thinking like, well, that's pretty cool, right? Like that could like move the ball a little bit. And like in our heads, we're just like completely like we're kind of baffled, but we're also like, all right, marketing. How can we get people to just see it or even care about it? And then boom, this morning you send a text and you're like, hey, after being mentioned on the show, well, it has nothing to do with the show, the Joe Rogan show. This is complete speculation on my end, but it's just weird that your story would be brought up on the biggest podcast in the entire world. And the very next day, for somebody who's never had any violations or any troubles, for your entire channel to just be completely wiped off the face of the planet to the point to where you can't even interact on YouTube.
It's not. It looks like a coincidence. You're not the only person that thinks that. There's a few thousand people that think that. My phone will not stop. Like it's going nuts right now from every app, every direction. There's a lot of upset people over that, and all of them think it was because my name was dropped on Rogan. Dr. Michael Masters has talked about this on a lot of shows, but the biggest one, all of a sudden, boom.
Right.
It'd be great if I had some sort of explanation, because I don't use my channel to monetize. I don't make any money from it. I don't care to, but to get the word out, to help other people, just like me, was the purpose, and it literally was helping a lot of people over and over and over again. People would rediscover these things that they're holding inside of them. They're not allowed to talk about it in everyday society, or they'll get shadow banned from their own family, their friends, everything. So, they need help. It helps me to help them, to feel better, because it's a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight being me, I barely slept this week. I found out I'm sleepwalking again outside without knowing it, according to my camera that I put up for a neighbor because she was suspicious that somebody is prowling the neighborhood at night. I caught myself. I'm out there from 10:45 at night to 5 o'clock in the morning, completely unaware of what I'm doing, just walking around in the yard. So, been exhausted.
We've told you that that's not good for you.
No, I'm gonna have to give it up. I saw a face. I'm like going through my camera, and I saw a face in my kitchen window, and I'm like, I'm gonna catch that guy, and I did. It was me. Caught myself red-handed.
That's terrifying.
All I had to do was zoom in. The funny thing is, I didn't have my hat on, but I had my glasses on, and I literally have to sleep with my clothes on because I don't know where I'm going to wake up in the morning. So thank God for that. I had clothes on. Unlike now, I'm not wearing any pants.
You don't need them.
We never are.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we just been, a part of us was like, maybe we just do suck. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
maybe we suck or whatever.
no,
But
I've got
it's like every effort that like goes to push, it's like something
Pushes back.
very weird happens to where there is no push. It's so insane. It's very wild.
It feels like okay. I'm gonna sound paranoid, but it feels like the same feeling that I got from the phenomenon before we went out and filmed with you the first time, Eric. Like, there's just too many coincidence and like timing of it that it just. I'm not saying like a shadowy organization is behind it, but it feels strange, dude.
something's wrong. I mean, I got a lot of messages from people that have watched the doc. It was inspiring. Thank you for doing this. All kinds. Not one person says, "Well, I didn't like it." And it just it's a good thing. People are enjoying the heck out of it. It's just not circulating on social media. The way it should. So, if there's 100,000 experiencers in a private chat, right? And you post something like this with a movie like that in there, coming from a person like me, uh, it's going to get seen a lot, and it's like nobody's catching it. So, yep, the struggle is real, but I I'm a rascal. I don't stop. Like somebody wants to stop me, you better bring a big gun. But we'll get all this figured out. I put in an appeal for YouTube,
Good.
and if they still keep it terminated, I'll either open up another channel or get on Rumble or whatever. But you're not going to stop me, just period. I was born different, and I when most people will run, uh, I run the other way. So this kind of thing just ticks me off. It doesn't make me want to back down or give up. Like life has been too hard on me um, to for me to sit down and feel sorry for myself. So um, we've got all of our content still on a computer, so we could turn around and upload it to anything we want. So nice
Yeah.
try, but yeah, what a bummer. Spend all that time, and it's not time marketing things. It's not time spent doing anything selfish whatsoever. That content was literally for suffering people
Yeah.
whose government has been lying to them for 80 freaking years. That's what that channel was. So to have no warning, just to pull the plug, no strikes, G-rated stuff, that was wrong. Whoever decided to do that, that was extremely wrong. Thousands of people were benefiting from every show we did. So
Yeah, bro. Like every episode you did, it was like, oh damn, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like it's insane. No strikes, no copyright stuff, nothing. That's just it's insane. The I'll take it back to the coincidence, man. The coincidence is just they're just wild. I don't get it.
Eric, have you been noticing like of all the I guess the podcasters out there that are getting the millions of views and stuff and the topics that are coming up, does it feel like things are finally tipping over as far as like the things you've been talking about for the past 10 years?
Allow me to complain. A lot of times I'll do a radio show or I'll get on stage and I'll talk about something that is not out yet. And I get nothing but stones thrown at me time and time again for 13 years. Every single time I turn out to be right because I know what the hell I'm talking about, and nobody calls to apologize. They just go after the next thing, but it's frustrating, but it's almost like that best part of the show you want to see over and over again. That one thing you can rely on that people are just going to do anyway. But yeah, it's starting to come out. It was starting to come out on my channel as well. There's people from Harvard, University of Ohio, Patient 15 who has a PhD, Dr. Steve Colburn, that worked with Dr. Roger Lear. That guy is extremely intelligent, well informed, and he's got miles behind him when it comes to hands on. So, but the email change that I see in my phone, where you've got these people at Harvard connecting me to it, and then they're talking to University of Ohio and this university over there, and there's more and more scientists jumping in saying, I'm going to take this angle. Jim Segala says, I want 300 sensors in this person's house so we can pick up everything. That was a great angle. What us experiencers feel like there's no way they're ever going to be able to see what we hide from ourselves, what we hide from our family. They're never going to see it. There's no way. And these genius, super genius people jump in and they're like, let's find this angle. And you take that angle and you take that angle. And it's just like, I knew they were smart, but wow, and
Yeah.
when it comes to disclosure, the people that are skeptical, look, I understand, it's a psychological operation to build you up, build you up, build you up, and let you down. So the people that do that all the time are either unwillingly part of the psyop or they are part of the psyop. And that's how people give up on this subject. You know, um, yeah, my channel is building up, more and more impressive people getting on and gone. That's the same type of thing. So if you get around something like that that feels that way, be careful. And uh, I am a little dangerous. People tell me all the time, they're like, you're probably on a government watch list. Well, guess what? They called me. Okay. Yeah, they called me to let me know I'm on that watch list. And every time they do call me, I'm being detained. That's the only way. Matters of national security, they can only detain a citizen for 72 hours. Luckily, the first time they called me, I was detained for 7 hours, and they were happy with the information and the conversation we had. They were well aware of the subject. They are fans of experiencers, by the way. That was shocking me because counterintelligence, they don't like me. Maybe it's my cheeks. I don't know. Um, I happen to think I'm an all right guy, but they don't like me. But actual intelligence, the people that don't get on TV, they just follow orders and serve our country. Um, Good people. They're like, hey, you're on our list, and we're looking for information. And I'm like, oh, let's do it. Thank God it was a phone call because they can pick you up from your house, scare the
Yeah.
hell out of all your neighbors, take you to a hotel, and do whatever they want to you for 72 hours. And so I'm lucky for that. And they're decent people. But yeah, just to let you know, I'm on a list. I know their names too, but they're tasked to figure out what's going under our oceans and what's in our skies, and they're kicking butt at it. They're doing a great job. But yeah, so it's not that those guys. Those guys would promote if they could, but they're not public figures. They're assets for the American government to figure out what's going on in national security. Can you imagine going to the Pentagon? You play with atoms all day in a lab, and you get called into the Pentagon, and you like sit down, and you're told that you're being reassigned, and then you find out that it's UFOs. Like that's got to be a terrible day. You walk outside, you got a 200-page briefing. You're looking at the trees and the cars, and you're like, well, how do I start this off? How do I do this? So they start off by calling Harvard University, Stanford University. They get into all these PhDs. What do you know about this? What do you know about that? And every single time they're like, you should get a hold of Eric Mitchell. And that's what these PhDs are saying about me. And it's not because I'm incredibly smart. Definitely not as smart as those guys, but I've been around the block. I'm the one that's been assisting them, saying this is what I've learned from experiencers. This is what I've learned in my personal experiences. And there's no way you're going to be able to take a look at that. And they're like, no, I have an idea. We're going to do it. And it's like, wow. So, I see people on X, they're like, there's no way disclosure is coming. It's bubbling under our damn feet. The heck with a rich politician that gets behind a podium and tells us another lie. We've got science streaming this stuff to make it a reality for everyone. And that's great because we've got people in sociology, psychology, neurology, and all the other ologies I can't pronounce. It's bubbling up under our feet, and that's just science. Look at the Hollywood disclosure movement. I mean, there's so much going on, We would sit here for hours talking about UAPPD, retired police officers that are now doing it instead of MUFON, where they pay $300 to read a book and pass an open book test to dictate and help your life out.
Yeah.
If they hired surgeons that way, I'd be in a lot of trouble. I would, but to have real trained narcotic and homicide people, rape victims, trained to look at all those things and then come to your home when your hands are shaking, your worldview's freaking destroyed, and you don't know how to pick up the pieces and get back to your life, And so it's just every direction you look. Now, there is a mind, a certain mechanism discovered over time that, and don't get me wrong, but there's the entertainment mind that's based from watching television and pop culture and all that stuff to sort of receive this subject in your brain. And that can misconstrue a lot of stuff when there's people that live it, because that's a different part of your brain. This is when I'm folding laundry. This is when I'm taking the kids to the park. This is my reality and not something I can reference with the entertainment mind. So you got two camps, and you got to know which one you're talking to at all times, because it's a different animal. A believer and a knower are a million miles apart.
Right.
And but yeah, disclosure is coming. I was told there was going to be some sort of announcement in January. Heard it from high ups. I'm not sure what that's going to be, but it's not going to be the major blow. But it's just going to be another announcement. And we've really had disclosure. If you think about it, we've had top officials from everywhere tell us, yes, this is real. But the real disclosure is the individual disclosure. Tom goes to a bookstore today and he happens to see an interesting cover, and there goes the rest of his life. He's in the rabbit hole. You can't get out. It's only a one-way street, and he's going to be going through his personal flavor of disclosure for the rest of his life, and that kind of disclosure, it's happening on an exponential rate, like so much, so fast, and it's not just America, guys. I work in 127 different countries. It's a lot of cultures. It's a lot of different microbiome. That's a lot of different religions and backgrounds and belief systems, all the same, all the same. All the experiencers may have an external thing to talk about, but the internal process, the thing I look at to vet people, it's all the same. It doesn't matter if you're from Japan. It doesn't matter if you're from Uzbekistan. Now, if you go to Uzbekistan, which is almost impossible to do, that country is closed off, like big time. Nobody flies in or out without express government permission. But there they have this big loaf of bread. It's cooked everywhere, street corners, in your kitchen. Mom's house is always baking them up, and they love their bread. But if you drop your damn bread, okay, this is what makes these people different, and it lands on its top, you are cursed for 7 days. Now, this isn't like a what you tell your 5-year-olds. Like, the local priest is scared to death of dropping his bread. Everybody is. You don't drop your bread. I got a guy who calls me up. He said, I'm in trouble. I dropped my bread. I've got 4 days. This is the stuff I deal with, man. We could do a whole 10 movies on like the coolest cases. We don't talk enough. But the guy dropped his bread. He had a hard first few days. The curse was everywhere. You can't escape it. He has 4 days left, and he finally finds me on the internet and calls me. He said, I've got 3 days left of this curse. This orange ball keeps coming down from the sky. I keep knowing things I'm not supposed to be knowing, and everybody's looking at me funny, but they know I dropped my bread. I got 4 days. How do I cope with this stuff? And I'm looking at his life and the things he's telling me, and I'm thinking, he doesn't have 4 days. He's got the rest of his life to deal with this. But I'm sure the story helps him with him dropping his bread from Uzbekistan. But that's not the case. But yeah, it's a shame for anything to stand in the way of doing this kind of work. For me, it's going to be for the rest of my life, and the echoes after that. I've got nothing left. So
it makes me think of we know your story is important. That's why we did the doc, and I super proud of how it came out. But I'm just trying to think, devil's advocate. What reason would whatever have to stop your story from coming out? Like, what
Ooh,
what
you
could
you
that?
you just peeled open uh, the most important question. You know, I got a call, and this is going to sound like a spy movie, but my life is that way anyway. I didn't pick it, but I'm learning how to, deal with it on a daily basis. So Travis Walton, Allagash twins from 1972 abduction, several like other like most known experiencers in America were contacted by a guy in the CIA. He's an experiencer, and over time he became our smoking man. You know, so some things I've said publicly that haven't happened yet, I get it from the smoking man. He was right 100% of the time. We can rely on him. He calls us all up, including Travis Walton, and says, "Guys, we need to meet in person. This is a very, very important conversation. We've never met in person." He would go to the Family Dollar, get a $15 flip phone with no GPS in it every single day, so it couldn't be tracked or located or anything like that. So we never knew what number he was going to call from. So we meet at Jack and Jim Wiener's house, the Allagash twins, and he rolls up in his convertible, gets out. We laugh, we have a good time. Then he sits us down and says they're gonna do an attempt at disclosure next year in October 2017. This was 2016, guys. At the time, I was talking to a scientist by the name of Joseph Firmage.
Mhm.
This company was called INTERNASA, International Academy of Science and Arts. They were offering to pay a man $300,000 to make him popular so they can do this disclosure attempt, right? So I was like, yeah, I know Joe. He confirmed my case through science and stuff like that. Wanted to meet me. Heard from, I think it was Jim Semivan that I had a case going on. He was unaware of it. So he immediately calls me through Facebook and starts darting questions at me. I thought he was a show host. I had no idea it was a scientist who was surrounded by the CIA at the moment. Um, but he was really interested because he was building this oscillator that created alternative energy, electricity, one over unity device. So we talked to our smoking man. He tells us, and he says, "You guys, they're gonna disclose UFOs, but what they're gonna leave out is experiencers. It's just too much of a liability. And the most important thing is the capability of some of these people belong in the hands of our service to our government and not running around loose on the streets, doing whatever they need to do." So, and there's a lot of power in that, guys. Like, I got friends in Japan; they call them superpowers. So
I
you could.
mean, you're telling me. I mean, I know this, but
Mhm.
I was writing emails trying to get you on other show. Like I reached out to like Theo Vaughn. We're trying to get you the guest spots to get your name out there. In my little paragraph, I just tried to speak Theo's language, and I was like, this dude is telepathic, is legit telepathic. What about you? Like I've had an experience that I can't explain leading up to meeting you, Eric. I mean, obviously, Michael Masters talking about superpowers. I mean, we
Yeah.
touch on it. We touch on it in the doc. I mean, you can make a noise with your brain. Um, what that is, I don't fully understand, but I mean, if that's
What
the
they
superpower that they're afraid of, is
Well, that's what they're coming to try to understand. First, I got to do the experiencer thing. So these experiencers, some of them become assets and work for Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. Every company like that has at least one experiencer. NASA has Timothy Taylor, for Christ's sakes. So all these organizations squander people like me. That's why my lead investigator Bear swiped me up, took me to Kentucky, put me through a buttload of training to become who I really am. To kind of teach me. I'm in cognitive dissonance. I'm in disarray, disbelief. I don't want to believe any of this stuff. So to free me from that, he taught me what I was already capable of doing. And of course, the Night Stalkers helped me out. Everybody went to like the Monroe Institute, or I learned this from over here. So I had a lot of support and help while I was in Kentucky. But what I've seen, what we're all capable of doing, it's just unimaginable. It really is. And if you unleash that into society, the first part of the brain anomaly is empathy. That's the first thing that happens. So you're not looking around watching a bunch of evil experiencers run around do bad things. We're empathic people. That's the first tentacle that reaches out into the world, is our emotions and other people's emotions. You're feeling them too at the same time. You think everybody else can do it, but it's not true. It's just not true. I can't imagine walking around the supermarket with no feelers, but it's got to be different. But I kind of get lost in thought. But if we go back to the Egyptian days and you look at the Book of the Dead, they would teach these special people rituals of pain and heartache to induce the ability to call down Ra. And once Ra actually came down, and they learned this over hundreds of years, then they knew you were the person that was able to do these things. You can call down the gods. So that later on, through Hitler and all kinds of things, became the Monarch Project, where, the reason why it's called the Monarch is because the first, second, third generation all have the same DNA strand and all that stuff, family after family. The fourth generation produces a random nucleotide polymorphism in its epigenetic DNA that actually creates the brain to have a bigger EEG, electromagnetic field. So these things actually pick up on, the activity of the Earth, and they actually fly south for the winter time and come back. They know how to come back. So when you look at experiencers, you see that it skips generations, just like the monarch butterfly does, except it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's more random, and it's epigenetic DNA. So it wakes up within us and starts feeding into the motor receptors of our brain. So we feel like we're going through savant syndrome, and we are, according to the studies now. Skywatcher will have a EEG portable on your head and study your brain while you're making contact, and they can definitely see these strange electromagnetic fields alternate. And what they believe I'm doing is alternating those electromagnetic fields. Now, if you zoom in and look at the little pieces, you'll see how uniformed it is and controlled. The beats per second are so tiny and so fast and rapid that you may not pay attention. Like I did for who was that? Patrick from Vetted.
Yeah.
I left him a cool message on his computer, and he never looked. And this is how I know why. He's still out looking for psionics to go in his documentary. And I just left him this beautiful thing. He could take it to any science person or sound engineer. It would just blow their minds. Like, this came out of a person's brain. But I don't think he has had time to kind of pull out his computer and take a look at what we did that day. But you guys know.
Yeah, I sent him the audio files from my computer, actually. So I isolated those frequencies so I could take a look at them. But yeah, I sent them over after filming with them in that room. That was a cool deal.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
But what was the other question you asked? Because my brain went on like so many tangents when it came to why would they want to.
Oh, I mean, I think it's just speaking to like our collective frustration with this project. I mean, again, dropping the documentary again, because that's what we're talking about when we're talking about like frustration. But you're talking about frustration with your specific story since you started talking publicly. We're in it coming in way late. We made this movie. We're coming up with just unexplained, just pushback from getting people to like watch this, look at the story. Like,
yeah.
Trying to get your damn story out. Like, what? So the question was like, what is a part of your story is so dangerous that it just seems to just collect pushback? Or,
well, I think if that's what's going on, it would not take much for someone like myself to stand up and others to see what I'm doing and strengthen themselves and do what I'm doing, and they're highly capable of doing it. Now, think of having a million Americans all at once say, no, I'm not hiding this anymore. I am who I am. Gay people can do it. Why can't experiencers? And I think it would change the structure of our entire society very quickly. It really would. I mean, Dr. Gary Nolan, he said these people aren't crazy. He said they're highly capable of doing a lot of things. As a matter of fact, you should hire them to run your Fortune 500 company. They can hire and fire intuitively. They know what's going on without having to be in the building, uh,
Yeah.
all kinds of things, I mean, so yeah, if you integrated this into society, we are a particular species within an ecosystem that doesn't recognize for what we are. Therefore, nature will camouflage itself until the ecosystem can accept itself. But at the same time, everything's feeding off of everyone else in order to survive. So once that part of the ecosystem is recognized as something of growth, then the entire ecosystem will benefit from that. And if you don't want your ecosystem to benefit and grow and keep it in a nice little orderly fashion and control it, you won't let the entire ecosystem know about itself.
Like it's like giving too much power to the people, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
too much power to people that are very, very capable of a lot of things.
Speaking of that, the Joe Rogan interview with Michael P. Masters yesterday, I mean, have you heard Joe Rogan's story? He had an encounter. Like, if so, what do you make of it? Because it sounds an awful lot like an encounter to me, like a legit dream state encounter that we hear a lot of.
It's a perfect example. Perfect example. You know what? I think Joe has been thinking about this his whole life and facetiously bleeds into his show quite a bit. I think he's still wondering if he is an experiencer because of that cognitive dissonance. You get to throw it out every 10 seconds and just keep moving forward. And look at how successful the guy is. Look how empathic he is, how he picks up and receives people. That's a perfect job for an experiencer. It really is, to reach in somebody in multiple different angles and pull out the information that you're looking for. It's perfect. But first time I saw Joe Rogan on television, I was like, yeah, that guy's an experiencer. I mean, I had no doubt. And so he's gonna just take his path with that. And good luck. It's hard. Hit any bumps in the road, Joe? Call me. I'm here to help. But Mike, it was the same way. He's had these little experiences, just enough to keep him curious, but not enough to pull him all the way in. So he gets to fit back in his little box and live his life. But when we had that night on the balcony, he could no longer deny what just happened because he had a physical human being with information he already had in his brain, and we dove in together. And so he can't explain that away. He can't say it was acid. He can't say, I don't do drugs. The guy had 2 beers. Heidi and I were completely sober. I just got back from Skinwalker Ranch, so my brain's on fire anyway. That place is something else. If you can get something to freak me out, you did a good job. And Skinwalker Ranch, there's aspects out there. Maybe for another show, but good Lord.
Yeah.
So I got to give the owner of the Space Wolf Research Center a full property analysis, surpassing the 62 years they've been out there with scientists. So they're like, how the hell do you know all this information? And my friend's like, well, that's Eric, but that's how it is. If we get to do a number 2, I'll take you to literally the scariest place I've been in America. And that's where I trained at Octagon Hall. And that place makes Skinwalker Ranch look like Disneyland. It's just, wow. First 3 days there, I was looking at my investigator like, that's a funny prop. There's another funny prop. And about 3 days into it, you'd have to know Bear. He looks at me and goes, Eric, there has never been a prop in this house. Everything you're seeing is real. It took me about another day before I realized, oh my God, this stuff is really going on in this house. I want to leave.
That's kind of what Bradshaw was like. It felt like a movie set.
But
We went out to Bradshaw Ranch, me and Joe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It felt like a movie set. It was spooky, dude.
Yeah, it's a different feel.
Yeah, I don't know how much time we kind of had planned. I'm glad you were able to hop on, dude.
Sure.
Me and Joe were talking on the phone, like we're talking about it. We should call Eric, but also let's just hop on YouTube in case our shit gets taken down. Like at least somebody were to hear, like just the sequence of events.
I'm sorry if it does, guys. I know you put a lot of work into your stuff. I certainly didn't do anything wrong. Like I said, I never got a strike, anything like that. But it was just a notification that your account has been terminated. Would you like to dispute? I'm like, yeah, but
yeah. We're definitely going to dispute too if we have to, but that was part of it. It was just like out of nowhere, dude, your channel gets erased. And we're like, okay, well, we got to go live and we got to have Eric on.
Yeah.
Because that's a big middle finger to whoever did it to just put you right back on YouTube an hour after they deleted your shit.
Right.
Get your channel like an hour before you sent that message. Literally just looking at it because I was trying to get a clip of you and Michael talking when he was on your show, and it was an hour, 2 hours ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a bunch of people watching the channel as it went down, and they all reached out to me, whether it be Facebook or my personal number, and they're like, "What the heck is going on?" And I'm like, I don't know. But you see how upset I am, and I'm throwing stuff and yelling and screaming. Now I'm used to this kind of crap.
We know you're used to it.
Yeah.
We know you're used to it.
I'm like that, like that autism child that makes his own way through, existence. It's just whatever comes at you.
Yeah. But, it's strange for Ben and I, you know what I'm saying? Being on the outside and seeing it happen in real time. It's something that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. But when you're on the outside looking in and you're like, dang, what a coincidence. It's like, how many coincidences have to happen in a row for it to stop being coincidence? And we're getting to that point to where it's kind of like, okay, what? Like that was, having your stuff gone was just like, all right, that's weird.
Yeah, I can have a PhD run you some numbers if you'd like.
I need to, because this whole thing is set up, exactly for that, to help you tell your story and to help other experiencers hear your story and understand that, hey, guys are all out there, don't feel alone. You can find some help. Like it's important to get the word out. And it's just like, it's crazy that how mushed it's getting. It's really like, it's up to the listeners, like to you guys to, watch the film and share it with your friends. Cause as you can see from today, like Eric's entire channel just completely got erased and taken down. It's like just slowly bit by bit. So we gotta do our part,
the documentary is released. My name gets mentioned on Joe Rogan, and all of a sudden my YouTube channel disappears without warning, without an explanation. Just you're terminated, and I can't even get on YouTube to watch videos. I'm banned. What did I do?
And it's crazy because he doesn't necessarily say your last name, but like we know who it is. You know what I'm saying? And whoever didn't want it out knew exactly who he was talking to as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he does say my name, my first and last name on a couple of interviews. So a lot of
right
on that. I wrote a book called The Balcony Experience, so that might lead to the fact that it could have been me, but it was me. I mean, I've known Mike for over 2 years now. Sometimes I'll be watching TV and something will just come through, and I'll text him, and it's usually something he's thinking about or having a problem with, and it's almost a household funny for them. The wife is more in tune. She's a spiritual woman. You can feel it in her presence, and I've just been on like Zoom with her, and I could just feel it so much. And she leans over her shoulder and looks at me through the camera. She says, "Thank you." I felt so bad because, that kind of ontological shock, I know what it's like, but I felt I had to do it. Guys, we're friends. I just wanted to go to the VIP room, see Heidi, give her a big hug. We're great friends. We spoke on the phone for years. Finally got a chance to see her, give her a big hug. We're buddies, and we help each other through things that most people couldn't articulate, on a daily basis. So I want to give her a big hug. And I walk into this VIP room, and there's this dude sitting on a bed, and the whole room just dissipates. And there he is, you know. And that's how I knew I was switching from my frontal cortex as my executive function into my experiencer function. And that kind of switches into a dreamlike state because that function is not used to being your executive function. You know, it's the guy in the back saying, "Hey, do this, do that." Not voices. Nothing like that. I've been checked so many times for my sanity, and I still can't get a damn check. Um, but once that happens, you've got that choice. Am I going to engage, or am I going to back up? It's not like you have to now. So I look back at Heidi, because I'm not supervised. You guys realize this, right? I'm running around and I'm not supervised.
No,
So
not at all.
I look back at Heidi to get an approve, or have her say, no, don't do that, because I didn't know who this guy was. I never saw him before. I didn't know who he was. Just some Joe Blow, but felt I needed to step in and help. This was an urgent thing I needed to step in and help with. And I do it at places like the grocery store. I've walked up to a woman and say, he's not going to stop hitting you. She had no marks. There was nothing that would indicate it, but I felt it. And I walked up to her, and she's digging through apples and bananas and stuff. And I'm like, ma'am, will you please talk to me? And within seconds, she was bawling her eyes out. I take her to the police station. And next thing you know, I'm getting interrogated by cops. How did you know about this woman? Are you stalking her? Are you looking in her window? And I'm like, I don't know her from Adam. I just offered to take her to the police because she's got a problem. And they're like, yeah, but how'd you know? And I'm like, am I being detained? Are you serious? And a little legal jargon, and I get out of the damn building. But, it's life is like that for me, and you have to adjust. As a matter of fact, I think it was about a year ago, I was going down to my favorite gas station to get a cup of coffee. And I'm kind of talking to this lady next to me, just banter back and forth. She's from Texas. She loves hot springs. Great visit. Her and her friend went out the night before, and her friend got smashed. She doesn't drink. And she's the one driving home, so she shouldn't. But before, when I pull in, I see a black SUV. The sunlight's bouncing off the windshield, and I feel a person of intent inside that vehicle. And I couldn't see through the windshield. So when I'm going in talking to this lady, I find out she's got a drunk friend out in the car. Um, so I go out with the lady, I light my cigarette, and the drunk lady in the passenger seat is like, come over here. Come on. I got to talk to you. And she goes, give me your hand, and clearly wasted. So I gave her my hand, and she starts reading my whole life, the names of my dogs, my mom's name, my ex-girlfriend's name. Like, she was so specific and slurring through everything. And her friend gets in the driver's seat and is staring at her. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry about my friend. And I'm like, don't be sorry. She's doing a great job, So once it was over, all three of us had tears in our eyes. And her friend said, I've known you for 20 years and you've never done anything like that. So it just shows you how well we hide who we are, and a lot of people are like, show me, show me, show me. Just wait around. You'll see it, It's kind of like you're in the kitchen cooking and you got family over and kids are running around, throwing stuff, and you get sick of it. So you grab a kid and you slam him down on his butt. And you go, look, play with those Legos. I'm cooking. You literally just rob that child of its imagination, by doing that. You've got to let it free, flow. And that's what a lot of scientists have figured out. Let's catch them when they're not looking, kind of thing. Oh man, there's so many directions, guys, we can go with all this stuff. But I'm learning new things every day, so it's fascinating. This blue light concept that experiencers are talking about actually inhibit a chemical in the brain that makes you forget, like you're forgetting a dream. When you get up and you're like, I'm going to tell Ben and Joe about that dream. As soon as I'm done making eggs, I'm going to call them. And like halfway through frying up some eggs. It's like the dream is completely gone. You don't even know the concept. And so that's what this blue light is doing. Is inhibiting the brain from actually remembering what just happened. It's the same mechanism, just waking up from a dream. So when people are in cognitive dissonance thinking, I know that was a dream, but it's been bothering me for 41 years, no dream is going to bother you for 40 years, man. You need regression on that, because it's very elusive.
Man, I just want to tell stories now, but I want to be cognizant of time. I've got to do a couple things before picking the girls up from school. But yeah, we got to schedule another actual show so we can have some quality time and share some stories again, Eric.
Oh, definitely.
It's been too long. I've been crazy busy with family and work and stuff, but
yeah, holidays, man.
The holidays. But like I was saying, like, the timing of our release with the doc and then Age of Disclosure came out, it was like, why even bother? Let's just wait till that wave's over, and then we'll hit it back hard with just try to spread the word. And I would, I want to see you get on some other podcasts. Just share your story, dude. Like, it just needs to be out there, man.
Yeah. Another thing I feel really bad about is, people in the comments are going to throw rocks at Michael Masters. He made this up. He was on drugs, blah, blah, blah. And I like to be able to have my opinion and go in there and say, I am the Eric he's talking about. And he remembers it correctly, and just have his back, because the guy's not lying. He's not embellishing. He's been in, ontological shock for 2 years at a time. He's gone to therapy about this stuff. I mean, it was hard on him. And to see, uneducated fools saying he's lying or making this up. Like, no, it took a lot for him to be able to talk about that, and I'm proud of him. I really am. I mean, he could be like the rest of the professors out there and say, oh, I can't talk about that. It'd be bad for my career or bad for my family. This is a pair of kahunas where he wasn't afraid of his job. He wasn't afraid of his family. He wasn't afraid of his community to tell the truth. And, there's not enough of those. So I commend him for getting out there. Yes, it causes me trouble just about every time he drops my name on the show, but that's fine. It's part of it. I'm used to people throwing the wrong opinion my direction because they can't possibly understand what I've been through. I get that. I understand. But Michael Masters is a stand-up guy. Everybody that knows him will say that. I've been contacted by a lot of colleagues, people he's worked with before, because they've never heard him lie. And they want to get on the phone with me and find out who the hell I am. I've met some amazing, brilliant people, just because of that. And these people, they're not on board with attacking Mike. They've got his back no matter what. And, that speaks volumes. It really does. I mean, you can get into a Twitter conversation, but you're not going to get anywhere with that kind of mindset. But he's a brilliant man. He does what he can for the betterment of his surroundings and people. And he had to go through a very difficult change in order to be effective for himself and his family and his friends 100%. And I felt that I needed to step into his life and give him that opportunity, as much as I did not want that to hurt him. But he's going through the change and he's kicking butt. Like, the first thing he did was help write Harvard's most read paper in history on UFOs. That's the first thing he did, right out of the bat, right out of the gate. Got a promotion at his job almost right after that, so it's benefited him a lot. And it's forced him to think scientifically in ways that perhaps maybe he wouldn't have found on his own.
I want to find that paper, dude.
Yeah, who do I contact? Oh, I'll get someone at Harvard to show me where the paper's at, or get a link or something like that.
Sweet.
But I think it was like 130 reads in, and they had to take it down. Some people thought it was conspiratorial, but they took it down over some minor, grammatic errors. And so a lot of people that were reading at the time, it was like it was the bad guys. They took it down. No, they were just trying to fix it. But even reporters were reporting it as nefarious, but it was just grammatical errors. But they put it right back up, and it still became the most read paper in Harvard history. I do subscribe to the future human hypothesis, but it would literally be impossible for that to be the only thing that's going on. But every possibility belongs on the table. I was just talking to a naval officer not too long ago that was telling me 13,000 years ago, when that last cataclysm happened, what if we had our own Atlantis with, really good technology, and where everybody else had to start as a caveman again, they were actually able to thrive. So for the past 13,000 years, they've been evolving better technologies and decided topside's not safe. Let's build some civilizations under the ocean. And I happen to know right now there is some Navy peeps, great people, love to serve our country, are out there over these civilizations, monitoring and trying to figure out what it is that we're dealing with the USOs. Mind you, we're not saying bases; they're saying civilizations. So
Right.
God, I mean, the running joke is that we found the mermaids. That's what they joke about. But it's either a civilization of humans that have surpassed us by 13,000 years, or it's a civilization not from Earth.
Antarctica. Dude. It's in Antarctica, Atlantis.
I know of 3 locations I found on my own. One is northern Guadalupe Island. If you go to the northern tip, you're going to see like a blue electromagnetic glow. And when I remote view, what I see is a lot of sharks in that area, which is funny because it coalesced. Sharks' noses are very sensitive to electromagnetic fields, so they're breaking away from migration to go to these civilizations and kind of swim around and get that nose tingle going. But yeah, northern Guadalupe Island. I can't think of the name of the peninsula right now, but there's a peninsula that comes off the back of Russia over the Japan area. There's a peninsula there. There's another location there, and another about 60 miles off the coast of France.
Northern Guadalupe Island.
That's it.
Whoa. Okay.
Pretty close to the Catalina stuff, huh?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Dude. Yeah, man.
Right there.
So what do you think we're gonna find there? Is it just a civilization that's been there for freaking ever, and we're just the people making a big mess on the second floor of the house?
I think there's grays out there. I think there's grays right there. Now I've got a friend of mine that bought a house just off the coast of California there, retired, put up some cool cameras because he liked to watch all the military exercises when they do that out there. And what he was catching is these things coming out of the water anywhere from 10 to 13,000 miles an hour, buzzing right by these helicopters and jets, and then going right back in the water, and nobody's noticing it. But this retired guy, and he sent me, a bunch of clips and stuff. They're moving so fast, the sensors, nothing's picking them up. So they're eons ahead of our stuff as far as technology. But yeah, that's his hobby now, is to watch these incursions happen, and our military not even having a clue, because they don't know they're being observed in the ocean out there.
That's cool.
You think they're messing with any kind of energy weapons to down some craft out there, like our military? And
they might. That's what scares me, is they're out there right now, quote unquote, poking the bear, and they're in way over their heads. But here's the thing: you collect intel for safety precautions before you, you know, get yourself involved in action, right? So they were only able to gather tiny bits of information, so they have no idea what they're messing with out there.
Right.
But I'm telling you, these things are fast. They are fast. You know, it's just incredible. But the technology, ours is so far behind. If we got into a battle and they were aggressively attacking back, it wouldn't last long. I mean, we would lose. We would lose. We've got some awesome toys, man, but these things, next level, just unbelievable stuff. But funny story though, like in the very beginning, you know, I didn't believe in the subject at all, like at all, and so it really impacted my life, scared my neighbors, cost me almost all my relationships. Uh, got kicked out of the church for calling the devil down from the sky, being attacked by people I never even heard of before in ufology because it leaked out a little bit. I mean, I had a few drinks with Christy one night. She was one of the witnesses, my neighbor, and we do some shots. And I'm like, I can't do too much. I'm a single dad. What if somebody falls out of a bunk bed and I got to go to the emergency room? I can't, drink too much. But I had just enough to feel sorry for myself and remembered I had a Captain Morgan spiced rum in the freezer just sitting there for the past 8 months. So I go into this full blown, just PTSD drunk, like tore up from the floor up, I think is the saying. But I feel this thing, and it's the very beginning. So I get this subtle feeling from above. Now it's like, you know, coming in like a wrecking ball. I recognize it right off the bat. But before it was just subtle. But I knew the damn thing was above my house, my apartment. So I go outside with my dad fingers, the most powerful thing I owned at the time because I had kids. And I pace like a gunman. I know it's above my apartment, but I want to get about 20 feet out, turn around, and give it to him. And I was going to do it. Mind you, drunk, staggering drunk. So I turn around and I'm slinging my finger and I'm giving it all, and nobody is going to do that unless they are that drunk. Promise you. This thing, 40 foot in diameter, glowing sphere, it's pulsating. Like people would get in, but ruined my life. So I was going to, I'm just telling it. And all of a sudden, boom, my eyes go blank, even though I know my eyes are open. And when Masters talks about his experience with me, it's like, I know, I get it. I totally get it. Everything goes black. My eyes are open. All of a sudden, I'm seeing a gray's face right here. And then we raise up above the United States. We shoot over to California. And we go straight down into the Guadalupe Island. Mind you, I've never remote viewed at this point. I've never had any of this stuff. So, like, I'm like the Beverly Hills Ninja, just, flying like, But we plunge into the ocean, and here's all these sharks down there, and we get closer and closer to this blue electromagnetic glow, and all of a sudden, this entity was like, no, you can't see that. And boom, all of a sudden, my eyes, I can see, and I'm standing in my driveway again. I'm like, what the hell was that? I'm never drinking again. So that was that location. I spoke to an intelligence officer about it, and he giggled. He said, yep, you're right.
What?
I saw it. I saw the damn thing.
Dude,
Jesus.
I haven't heard that one yet. That's amazing.
It's been 13 years, man. It's been a long, almost 14, but it's been a long ride. It really has. I haven't had any, idle days. Crave it. I had a nap once. That was great.
We I'm sorry guys, I've got to go here in a second, but Eric, we got to get you back on and continue this because I want to hear your story in full detail about your experience and at the Soul when you went to the Soul Foundation.
Oh God, you're gonna love that. I need to send you pictures and videos. I didn't even get on my YouTube channel to piece that together yet. I was planning on it, but yeah, Heidi and I were rascals, and a lot went down. Like a lot went down. But not many people at the Soul Conference knew everything that was going on. But for me and Heidi, a lot, a lot went down.
Yeah.
Steve Goldburn was up there. He scanned me. My entire head and face and ears were covered with the blue dye that you can only see under a black light. When it's green, it's got no chloride in it. It's a biological substance that's coming from something that's not human. There's no chlorine in it. But if it's blue, it's some sort of medical substrate to knock you out. And my face was covered in that stuff. At the Soul Conference, I got Nicole Sackage and Courtney, her friend, that both do a lot of work for Grant Cameron. They're running around grabbing every PhD they can, go take a substrate off this man's face, and they're like, "No, you're crazy," And so here I am at the Soul Conference with damning evidence on my face. It just happened to be on my face, and nobody would take a substrate from it. And they're doing, little presentations of how they think UFOs might exist. I'm like, come on, guys.
Just take a swab.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. All you got to do.
And you had I don't want to go too far into detail, but you had just had an experience the night before, right? Like that was the next day that you saw the dye, right? Like, but you had a dream.
Yeah.
A dream.
The Sunday before I flew out, I had a dream, because that's what it seems like. I woke up in some sort of cargo hold area. There were two Asian women sitting on a bench, and behind this bench was a window, and you can only see stars. There was also a gentleman, 220 pounds, pretty big guy, bald. He started coming to and started realizing he wasn't in a dream. So he started getting upset and screaming, and I'm kind of in and out of it as well, dream-like state, but it wasn't a dream, guys. Once I realized that I'm in a craft and this man's losing his mind, these women are just completely out of it with their eyes still open, sitting up. I turn to my left and I start to buzz. I'm going to contact where that ship is because I know there's a ship out there. I'm already feeling it. It's like a buzz in the head. I'm going to contact that thing and I'm going to freaking crash it. Next thing I know, I'm laying on a table and my whole face is being sprayed with this really cold, wet stuff. And I woke up and I'm like, whoa, that was a crazy dream. So I fly out to the Soul Conference. I called Steve and Barbara. Love those guys. Steve is always helpful, always knowledgeable. And we show up and there's like 50 experiencers outside with a pound of marijuana. So we go upstairs and Steve is just scanning everybody, checking everyone. We're all experiencers, and when nobody had anything, going on, which was good. I'm in the corner with a bourbon. I don't want to get looked at. I'm tired of that crap. And he's like, Eric, come on, it's your turn. And once he put the fluorescent light on my face, everybody in the room was like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, show me. What the hell is it? I'm thinking maybe I got a fingerprint. Yeah. And I'm like, my whole face is blue. You can't see it with the naked eye, but if you put a UV light up, my whole face was just blue. And it's like a line right here where the spraying started and a line down here where the spraying stopped, And I remember what it looked like.
That's physical proof, Eric. Like
at the Soul Conference.
That's physical.
Yeah. Empirical proof. Empirical proof. And of course Nicole's upset. Courtney's upset. Heidi's like, unbelievable, and at the same time, I channeled mathematics for an electrical engineer at the University of Ohio. I didn't know I can do it. I've seen some math in my dreams. So I practiced for about a week or so, sat up, wrote it all down. And so Charles actually printed out a couple hundred copies and brought it to the Soul Conference and passed it out to these PhDs that would not look at me. Jack Sarfati stops, grabs my shirt, and he walks me over to the Soul table where all the Soul guys are sitting, or not Soul, Arrow, where all those guys are sitting. He said, you guys don't believe in experiencers? Look at this guy. He's standing right here. You can touch him with your finger. You know how Jack is. He's just, he's like, he does not give a shit. And then he shows the math. He's like, this is fluid dynamics beyond your belief. He said that came out of this man's brain, and he's got an Arkansas education. He's just trying to, let them know. But yeah, it's frustrating. it's frustrating because, you go to other universities and you tell them something, and they're like, okay, let's take a look. But at the Soul Conference, man, did I get the wrong feeling, like big time.
Dude.
I found it.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Now,
dude.
now
I
Science,
mean,
Science Bob has a copy of that, and he's taking it to a workable lab to be tested and proven. Um, now he's been a physicist for the CIA for like 50 years, so
Yeah.
at this point it's theoretical, but he somehow knows it's not, and he's going to test it and make it provable. But I don't know anything about that kind of math. Never studied it. Looks complicated to me. But he thinks it could really help the world. I'm still in shock from it. I don't know how to read it. I know it's energy propulsion type of physics, but hopefully something good comes out of that. Um,
I was thinking I might like put it in a ChatGPT or something and see what it makes of it. But
of course, they've already done that. Ran it through to see if it existed, which it didn't. They ran it through Google. It didn't exist on Google, so it's not like.
What if it's like the equation to be able to like make a baked potato way faster?
I hope so, because
Or
baked potatoes take forever.
10-minute meatloaf or something,
Yeah, 10-minute meatloaf.
This is the formula to having an enjoyable DMV experience.
Yeah.
Oh, someone asked, how do you get the stuff off, Eric? The
dye.
The dye.
It doesn't come off. It infuses with your skin, so it takes somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks. I suggest if you're going to test yourself, that we'll put you in clinical, depression really fast once you find empirical evidence on your body. It's tough, but the best UV, I would go to a pet store. The stuff to look for cat pee in your carpet and stuff like that. It seems to have a good frequency to pick it up very well. They're just built that way. But yeah, there's little tricks that we can learn. I mean, you could take one of those flimsy water bottles, pour it out, and take half the air out, squeeze it, put the cap back on, and set it right in your windowsill. And when the barometric pressure drops outside your home, what you're going to have is a barometer, because you're going to hear crinkling of that bottle when that happens. And a storm usually doesn't have enough power or pressure to do that, but these objects always do.
Wow.
Always. So instead of getting a barometer for a couple $100, you can use a water bottle. Especially out in the field. If you're doing something out in the field, leave a bunch of those half-empty water bottles out in the field. When it starts crinkling, you'll know you're about to have a visual.
Whoa,
that's cool.
Yeah, the stuff along the way.
Well, we got to do some
of those things I will not be doing.
you saw how our psionics test went, Eric.
Yeah, that was top notch. That was you did everything you were supposed to do.
And more, if I might say.
Invite me next time, Ben.
Went above and beyond, dude.
Hell yeah,
We'll do it. I have been talking with Skywatcher, and I'm not going to sign any NDAs or anything like that. But when they start physically operating again, I might go out into the field and try them out and see what they got going on. But I've talked to a lot of the other psionics. I even helped them with their personal problems and stuff like that. Great guys. So we'll see what happens, there in the future.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like we're only scratching the surface on all right, get society to agree, like this is happening, now what, and then all work together to, I don't know.
Yeah. Right now, all these scientists are going through like a 10,000 terabytes of information, and most of which are EEGs and watching our brain disassociate into the experiencer function and reach out. So they're literally watching the neuroscience happen in real time during contact. And I was talking to Jim Segala the other day during the interview, and I'm like, are you watching disassociation and putting executive functions up front? And he goes, that's what it looks like on screen. So I was like, damn, I just told on myself.
Damn, dude. Dang.
Well, boys, I hate to do this, but I got to get going.
I know.
Yeah, dude, thank y'all so much. We got to do another podcast. I know this was random, but man, I miss doing this, dude. It's so fun.
Yeah, anytime. I mean, I don't have a YouTube channel anymore, so say hello to everybody from my destitute jail is right here in UFO Garage.
Yeah, dude. Well, we'll make sure to get another one going here pretty soon. And just your channel's down, so anybody watching this or getting a chance to see it, make sure you check out the doc, share it with your friends, share it with everybody, so we can maybe find a little workaround to this, whatever we think might be going on. Who knows? But just share it and let everybody know, and we'll hop on and do another one of these here pretty soon.
And everybody that's watching it, live right now, thanks for showing up and hanging out.
Yeah, definitely.
Man down.
All right, guys.
Take off, buddy. You got kids.
Talk to y'all later, man.
See you next time, guys. Take
Bye.
care.